Hi, this is Zach here with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Monday, the 22nd of July. It would appear I've got a bit of competition, so I'm going to be on my best behavior in terms of the calls and the highlights today. Looking at the FTSE first, and we're still in that narrow channel there from the end of May. Top of the channel there now 8,300, and looking for a break of that to take us up towards the June resistance 83.71. Ultimately, best case would be 8,800 at the top of that rising trend channel from October, but at the moment, difficult to work out what type of excitement would generate a move up there. On the downside, if we break the floor of the rising trend channel, that January uptrend line 81.50, then there's a risk of 80.70, and that May support line projection. The other intriguing part of the charting here is that we've kept on fading at RSI 55 since the end of May, which normally doesn't mean very much, but the longer that continues, the greater the chance of a move to the downside. So hopefully we will break out of that little range there, have an RSI 55 plus, hopefully by the end of the week. RSI currently just below 52. Moving on to the DAX, and here the market managed to pop out of its little channel on Friday, but rather remarkably seems to be trying to get back into it, which is a very interesting scenario. So basically taking out all the levels there, but at the moment, end of day close back above the floor of the channel there from September, 18,300, and we could be looking at trying to retest the best levels of the month through 18,700 over what's left of July. But an intriguing picture there. RSI at 51, so I suppose the glass there half full. Proper natural resistance there, I think 18,200, support rather 18,200, and maybe that's what we should look at intraday. Moving on to the Dow, which has yet to be able to respond to the departure of President Biden. Well, not standing President Biden here. The week ended rather weak, let's say, and the old resistance there just above 40,000 hopefully will become in as support. If we do break lower than the 50-day line there, 39,400 is the risk for the bulls, and that's also the floor of that rising trend channel, or the uptrend line from October as well, so that's quite a strong combination. Best case here is that by the end of next month we are up to 42,000, and the 1 year resistance line projection at the end of July last year. Moving on to Bitcoin, which has stabilized at the better levels, one can say, and here you can see that we've got the 50-day line as recent support, 64,000 above that, looking for the March resistance line there, just around 71,000, and hopefully that could be hit before the end of this month, but maybe a close run thing. Moving on to gold, and here you can see that we've pulled back rather nastily from the highs, the double top there through 24.50, so it's a bull trap of quite painful proportions. We've got the uptrend line from the bottom of the channel there around 23.60, and the 50-day moving average 23.80, let's call it, and that is the area we're looking to find support for this market. If we do break down, not looking for anything lower than 2,300, but that would obviously be rather painful given how high we've traded over just the middle of last week. Moving on to the stocks, starting off with Arcontech, and here the situation is one of those situations where you sort of don't really want to look at it, but it's too good not to look at, let's say. Here we've got a rising trend channel that's been in place since July 2022, and the top of the channel there heading for £1.20. We're looking for that perhaps as soon as the end of next month, on the basis that we've gapped up pretty sharply today and are basically touching the 50 and 200-day moving averages. Above recent resistance, 92 pence, looking for the shares to make progress at least towards the 110 zone, if not the 120 at the top of that channel, the 2-year channel. Obviously, we don't want to see anything lower than the floor of the gap there at 89 pence in the meantime. Brave Bison is next, and here picture is another price channel rebound. In this case, the channel from back in September. We had a little bear trap rebound from below the 200-day moving average, which is now rising at 2.3 pence, and we're looking for 3.2 pence, perhaps as soon as the end of next month. On to stock which has been, well, it's basically relentless in terms of the recovery here at Blackbird. We've hit our second target now there at 8.3 pence. Above that, I've already upgraded it, the shares to 11.2 pence, and the top of that broadening triangle there from back in September. Ideally now we stay on the right side of the old February resistance at 7.25, but looking quite encouraging here, even more encouraging if the 50-day, the 200-day moving average actually started to rise. Next up is CleanTech Lithium, which had a decent announcement today. Here you can see that the shares have gapped up above their 200-day moving average at 21 pence. Above that, looking for, as we've said before many times, the top of that rising trend channel from November at 29 pence, and hopefully we'll get that well before the end of this month. The 50-day moving average now at 19 is probably a decent stop loss on that particular idea. Having a first look at Cykel, even though there's not much charting data, it is interesting at the moment in the sense that we look as though we've got a sort of step progression here, which is normally very bullish. End of day close through the old July peak, just around 6.8 pence would be enough, or could be enough, to get the shares up to the top of the notional rising trend channel there. That's obviously a big guess, around 12.6 pence, and looking for that by the end of next month. Obviously, if that works, it would be a case of very successful forensic charting. In the meantime, nothing lower than 6 pence is required if we want that to keep going up to that kind of target. EOG is next, Europa Oil and Gas, and here the picture is that we've got a rising, well, a broadening triangle, in fact, and the shares have risen vertically over the course of July, still looking for up to 1.35 pence by the end of this month, perhaps. We may be going into the first part of August, and looking for that while we remain above resistance on the way down, around 1.1 pence on an end-of-day close basis. Haven't looked at the next stock for quite a while, Future Metals, and here unfilled gap to the upside off the lows, which makes it difficult to resist, as does the way that we've already had several gaps to the downside. So basically, it's a bear trap island reversal, normally one of the strongest configurations. Initial target here, 1.28 pence, and then after that, up to the top of that triangle there from December, as high as 1.7 pence, maybe by the end of next month. But the more time we spend above that 50-day line, just around current levels, the better. On to GST, which is GSTechnologies, and here you can see that we've got this burgeoning, broadening triangle there, the top of the triangle there, 1.1 pence. Nice bull flag either side of the 50-day moving average there at 0.8, and while we remain above recent support at 0.75, looking for 1.1 pence by the end of next month. Hummingbird is next, which seems to be rising even though the gold price is not at the moment, which is a positive. We've got that definitive break of that resistance line there from this time last year, 9.5 pence above that, looking for the top of that rising red trend channel from back in August at 16 pence as soon as the end of next month. A punchy call, given that the shares have been rather loath to break out of the 8 to 12 pence range, but maybe this time the bulls will get lucky. On to Mosman, which continues to be a lap of honour for the bulls. Here holding well at the 0.07 level. We're still looking for the top of that rising trend channel from April, as high as 0.1 pence by the end of next month, while we remain above the floor of the channel of 0.06 pence. Nice to see the RSI, 3 RSI bounces above neutral 50, which tends to be decent leading indicator on the upside, and as well as being a continuation signal. On to Pennpetro with another RNS today, and shares bouncing off our previous support of 2.3 pence, and then hitting our one of our previous targets there at 3.35. End of day close above 3.35, and we're looking for a best case scenario target as high as 4.4 pence. But at the moment, it looks as though we're just in that range between 2.3 and 3.3. Surprising that Synergia didn't go through the roof after today's news from the government of India, but I suppose that's what the way Synergia is. It's always been a bit of a difficult customer, But we're still looking for a move up to the top of that rising trend channel from May last year, around 0.21, while we remain above the 50-day line at 0.12. Sunrise Resources is next, and here the picture is that, well, maybe sort of similar in terms of some of the other recoveries we've seen, just pushing through the 200-day line there. A rising trend channel heading for 0.13. Could be a bit optimistic in the near term, maybe a bit lower than that, so looking for 0.09 maybe initially, while we're above that 200-day line at 0.05. Finishing off with not a riser, but a faller, a rather surprising faller, given the teasing RNS that we had today. But maybe that the game's not quite up in the sense that even though we've probably given the bulls a bit of a kick in the teeth or a slap in the face, there is a line of support there from December, and that's around today's low, just around 1.952 pence. So while there's no end-of-day close below that, this may actually be a chance to get in at the low end of the range rather than the end of the line. If we do stay above the support line there, around 1.95, then we're looking for a retest of the 200-day moving average at 3.3 pence. But obviously today is perhaps not a day when many will feel bullish. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.